Bakugo vs. All for One? What more could you need? Welcome back to another My Hero Academia chapter review, Boku no Hero Academia chapter 405 of the manga. Let's discuss Bakugo vs. All for One, how he just reversed Nightaye's prediction for All Might's gruesome fate, and how Bakugo will defeat the villain king. Let's dive in. Our chapter opens with a vision of All Might and Sir Nighteye, and Sir Nighteye confirms that this was supposed to be the gruesome fate he predicted for All Might. The end of All Might's dream was to be here and now. So right off the bat, this is huge. Bakugo, like we said in the last chapter, we called it, successfully bent fate and changed Sir Nighteye's prediction for All Might's gruesome fate against a villain. For now, All Might is safe. Now, this doesn't preclude him from encountering another villain down the road in his life, but right now, All Might's good. Sir Nighteye also comments on All Might keeping his promise to Deku, and All Might says that it should be the mentor's role to die and leave the rest to his students. Okay, now this is interesting. All Might was clearly ready to die in this fight, just to stall All for One 1 second longer, just to be a hero one last time. And yet, he clearly promised Deku that he wouldn't. Perhaps when one is truly unafraid of death, they can face a perilous situation and not lose their life because they don't have the fear. They won't be paralyzed by it. Lastly, I like the idea that Sir Nighteye says, hey, All Might, mentors can live on too, okay? It's just a comic book stereotype that the teacher dies and the student has to pick up the pieces and carry on. Or it's just Star Wars. We all know that All Might was a huge influence on and was a mentor to Sir Nighteye, and even though this is still in All Might's vision of things, I'd like to think that Sir Nighteye is somewhere up there looking down on this fight, and that he's glad his mentor is still alive. Flipping back to the battle, we see Bakugo land on a building with All Might, and the two kids from the movie are cheering him on. Guys, the movie is canon. We also see Bakugo cough up blood here, and what comes out is a tiny Edgeshot who explains the current state of his constitution. We all remember when Bakugo was miraculously healed by Edgeshot going into his chest and forming his heart and other organ structures needed to keep him alive and kicking. But we also learn that Edgeshot only provided the structure and lattice for Bakugo's internal organs. He did not jumpstart his heart. That credit would go to a drop of sweat which exploded, giving Bakugo the kick he needed. It's crazy because had it been anyone else save for maybe Denki, who has electricity in his body, Bakugo wouldn't have survived if he didn't really train his quirk and awaken something different within it. However, this doesn't mean that we don't have any consequences with Bakugo's miraculous healing, and I think this is a good thing. Many people were upset when Bakugo was revived by Edgeshot in this manner, and while I think it's okay to revive him from the brink of death, don't make it easy. There better be some drawbacks to having another hero inside you acting as your artificial organs and heart. So the fact that Bakugo is in excruciating pain after essentially going through open heart surgery while using his quirk to its maximum potential in this fight, yes, that's a good thing that he's hurting right now. That's how it's supposed to be. So Bakugo, you better be pretty thankful for Senpai Edgeshot's sacrifice here. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you like Bakugo's revival with Edgeshot here? Or do you think he got off too easy? What would you have done differently? Or would you have just not revived him? All Might gives Bakugo a gauntlet here, and even though the thing is pretty much broken at this point, it will serve as a nice splint and support for his arm, so that he can deliver a real explosion without any of that nasty recoil. All for One, on the other hand, he's unraveling a bit, and even though he's clearly angry at Bakugo, he does quickly realize that, hey, I still have a mission to transfer quirks to Shigaraki before I'm rewound completely. Lest we forget, All Might was stalling All for One for a very important reason. the heroes do not want All For One to reach Shigaraki. And you see him unraveling a bit here. He's getting angry. He's thinking, man, why can't things go my way? Why can't they just be how I want them to be? And you see a bit of that immaturity coming out from the child, teenager state All For One is in right now. And this is great for the heroes because the first battle that they were supposed to win was the psychological one. It's too late though. Bakugo is too fast as he appears next to All For One saying, I'm your final boss. And with his new gauntlet, delivers an explosion for the ages right to the villain king's face. Hey, I'm just here to step in when Deku can't handle it all on his own. What an amazing sequence here. Thank you, Horikoshi. I think it's pretty safe to say that Bakugo will be All For One's last opponent, his final boss. And I don't think All For One is winning this particular video game. The only question now is All For One even alive down there? In seeing what Bakugo did in restraining his explosions while he saved All Might, and that having the effect of severing All For One's arms, I think it's a pretty sure bet that All For One just received a massive amount of damage here. While it would be funny to see Bakugo completely destroy All For One with one explosion in this current state, I do believe that the battle is far from over. We've seen All For One rewind massive amounts of damage. Even in this panel, All For One has already restored his arms, and it's only been maybe a minute since Bakugo severed them. So needless to say, this battle will continue, but All For One did sustain heavy damage, and it will also be funny to see Bakugo basically fight a 7-year-old. Now, while Bakugo is certainly powerful and his quirk has awakened, don't think this is going to be a walk in the park for him. He is fighting through excruciating pain after having undergone basically impromptu open heart surgery. Even if Bakugo can muster through the pain and fight All For One, which is a tall order in and of itself, don't forget that Edgeshot likely has a limit in holding together Bakugo's chest and his internal organs. So this has become, for both the heroes and the villains, a race to the finish of this fight. All For One is trying to complete it and his mission before he rewinds, and Bakugo's trying to stop All For One and basically run out his time before his own time and body expires on him. Let's hope Bakugo can get to Recovery Girl and a hospital and defeat All For One in, the next few minutes? The other interesting thing about this fight is that All For One seems to remember the second user of One For All when Bakugo is next to him. He has a habit of doing this every time he's confronted by Bakugo, who definitely looks like this guy. So what does this mean? Is it really just a similarity, or is Horikoshi hinting at something like a relation between Bakugo and this second user of One For All? I've made theories, everyone's made theories. There's the time travel theory. There's the theory that Bakugo is the second user of One For All, and that's how he saw Toshinori in the Vestiges. But something is up about this. I refuse to believe that it's just a coincidence that every time All For One sees Bakugo, he's taken back and sees this guy. Personally, I like my theory that the second user of One For All was so much of a savage back in the day that, yes, even though All For One defeated him, every time All For One sees someone that remotely resembles him, he gets PTSD from 100 years ago. But what do you guys think? Let me know your theories about the second user down below in the comments. And how do you think this fight will go next between Bakugo and All For One? As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you like My Hero Academia content and these chapter reviews, consider enrolling at UA today by subscribing. And until next time, Plus Ultra.